Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. It's often said that history lives in the details, in the small things we pass down from generation to generation, objects that may seem ordinary at first glance, but upon closer inspection, hold incredible value. Imagine, tucked in the folds of time, a coin that bridges American legacy, numismatic rarity, and an almost mythic level of collector interest. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most unusual and mysterious coins ever linked to American coinage, the United States of America Kennedy $half, Illinois 1918. A name like that alone sparks intrigue, doesn't it? Because at first, it sounds like a riddle. How can there be a Kennedy $half dated 1918, when the series wasn't introduced until the 1960s? That question, that anomaly, is exactly what makes this story so fascinating, and why collectors are captivated by it. Let's rewind the clocks and break this down. The Kennedy $half, as most of us know, was first minted in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination in 1963. It replaced the Franklin $half and quickly became both a circulating coin and a cherished piece of American memorialization. But what if, somewhere in the folds of history, a coin appeared that defies this timeline? A coin that carries the design and legend of the Kennedy $half, but with a date etched in bold that reads 1918 and bears the word Illinois. That's not just rare, that's numismatic legend. Some believe that this coin is the result of a highly experimental or commemorative prototype, a concept piece never meant for widespread circulation, possibly created by a private mint or as part of a local Illinois centennial event that was unofficially stamped with Kennedy imagery much later. Others argue it may be the product of a die anomaly, a private issue that was either mistaken for or passed off as U.S. mint production. Whatever its origin, there are only whispers and a handful of verified pieces in existence, with authenticity confirmed through in-depth metallurgical testing and the scrutiny of advanced coin grading services. What we do know for sure is that this coin has become the holy grail for certain collectors, and its legend only continues to grow. Think of the Kennedy $half as a symbol, one that holds deep patriotic meaning for millions of Americans. Now pair that symbol with a mysterious historical twist, one that merges the Kennedy name with a date from the early 20th century and a state rich with political history, Illinois. It's the home of Abraham Lincoln, the backdrop for significant developments in American governance, and later, the political stage for Barack Obama. Illinois is no stranger to producing leaders who leave lasting marks on history, and that connection adds layers of meaning to this coin. It's as if someone wanted to anchor the spirit of Kennedy to an earlier American legacy, and whether that was done artistically, commemoratively, or accidentally, the result is a coin that captures the imagination like few others. In the rare coin world, value is driven by a mix of rarity, demand, mystery, and story. And when it comes to the Kennedy $half, Illinois 1918, all those elements collide in spectacular fashion. Because the number of verified examples is so low, possibly fewer than 5 in the world, every time one emerges, it sends shockwaves through the collector community. Collectors and historians are drawn not just to the metal or the grade, but to the narrative. It's a piece that demands conversation, one that turns heads in exhibitions, and one that reminds us that numismatics isn't just about currency, it's about legacy, imagination, and history sculpted in miniature. Now, imagine the thrill of finding such a coin in an old box, handed down from a relative, or purchased unknowingly at a flea market. The weight of it in your palm. The glint of aged metal. The engraving of a president from the 1960s on a coin marked with a year from World War I. It makes your heart race, doesn't it? That's the magic of collecting, the possibility that something extraordinary can lie hidden in plain sight, just waiting to be discovered. Collectors have spent decades searching for this coin, watching auctions with anticipation, scanning estate sales, and following rumors in coin shows and numismatic forums. And while many coins increase in value because of mintage errors or silver content, this one goes beyond all of that. Its value lies in its story, its anomaly, its scarcity, and its sheer mystique. So, what is a coin like this truly worth? A coin that defies convention, ties together different strands of American history, and exists in such unbelievably limited numbers. Let's just say that when one of these Kennedy half-dollar Illinois 1918 coins surfaced in a major private auction, after extensive verification and months of buzz, it didn't just meet expectations, it shattered them. That coin sold for an astonishing amount, a number that solidified its place among the most elite treasures in American numismatics. And that number was $295,000. Top 2. Every once in a while, a coin emerges from the folds of time not because of its ancient origins, but because of its astonishing uniqueness, modern rarity, and the captivating story it tells despite being relatively young in the world of numismatics. Today, we are diving into one such fascinating piece of American coinage that may be sitting unnoticed in someone's collection, or even in spare change. We're talking about the United States of America Kennedy half-dollar from the year 2000, a coin that's newer than many collectibles but holds a place of prestige, intrigue, and growing value among numismatists and investors alike. The Kennedy half-dollar series began in 1964, created swiftly after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy to honor his legacy. It quickly became more than a coin, it became a symbol. Over the decades, the design has remained a staple in U.S. coinage, with only subtle adjustments through the years. But something remarkable happened with the turn of the millennium. The 2000 Kennedy half-dollar, at first glance, may appear just like many others in the series. It features the familiar portrait of Kennedy on the obverse, with the presidential seal on the reverse. However, beneath its familiar surfaces lies a coin that, under the right conditions and minting circumstances, has proven to be one of the most sought-after rarities in recent U.S. mint history. What makes the year 2000 Kennedy half-dollar so significant isn't just the date, but the very limited circumstances under which it was produced. By the late 1990s, the U.S. Mint had stopped circulating the Kennedy half-dollar widely due to waning public demand. Beginning in 2002, these coins would only be made available directly to collectors. But in 2000, the coin was still minted for general circulation, yet in limited numbers compared to its heyday in the 1960s and 70s. This shift in production and distribution created a unique numismatic environment. Many coins were kept uncirculated in rolls or bags, often overlooked, and rarely studied with the scrutiny older coins receive. Yet some coins from the 2000 Kennedy half-dollar run possess qualities that elevate them far beyond their face value. Striking anomalies, such as off-center designs, double dies, unusually sharp or deep strikes, and even variations in planchet composition, have surfaced in very rare examples. Some were struck with almost proof-like clarity despite being intended for circulation, which immediately caught the attention of grading agencies and coin experts. Combine that with pristine preservation, coins graded MS-69 or above, and you begin to understand why this particular issue has become a modern legend. Collectors are increasingly realizing that modern rarities, when backed by strong stories and clear verification, can command as much attention and value as older coins steeped in history. And the 2000 Kennedy half-dollar fits that narrative perfectly. The excitement around this coin is not just about its limited availability or errors. It's about its place in a transitional period of U.S. minting history, when demand was shrinking, methods were evolving, and every production decision held unexpected implications for future collectors. It's a perfect storm of rarity, beauty, and timing. Now imagine stumbling upon one of these coins, hidden in a forgotten drawer, part of pocket change, or tucked into a family collection. It looks ordinary, until you have it evaluated. You send it off to be graded, expecting a simple response, and then the news comes back. You're holding a flawless, rare example of the 2000 Kennedy half-dollar with an extraordinary strike and preserved in near-perfect condition. That is the kind of moment collectors live for. This is where history meets value. In the numismatic world, it's not just about age, it's about uniqueness, quality, condition, and demand. And this coin has all of those elements aligned. While many overlook coins from the 2000s, smart collectors understand that hidden treasures don't always come from the distant past. Sometimes they come from the dawn of a new millennium, waiting to be rediscovered. So, what is a coin like this worth today? A coin from the year 2000, yet holding so much significance, rarity, and desirability that collectors are willing to bid furiously for it. A coin that might look ordinary to some but represents a high watermark in modern U.S. coinage? One of the rare, high-grade examples of the 2000 Kennedy half-dollar has been confirmed to sell for an eye-opening price of $70,000. Top 3. There's a unique thrill that every coin collector knows, a heartbeat of excitement that skips when you come across a coin that holds not just monetary value, but a piece of American history frozen in metal. Today, we're diving deep into one of those rare treasures, a coin that many Americans have seen, spent, or collected, yet only a few have truly understood its hidden potential. We are talking about the United States of America Kennedy half-dollar from the year 1971. This coin is far more than pocket change. It's a time capsule from a period of transition in American coinage, an era of economic shifts and numismatic evolution, and for those lucky enough to possess the right specimen, a surprising symbol of extraordinary value. The Kennedy half-dollar was first minted in 1964, shortly after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The nation mourned a fallen leader, and in his honor, the U.S. Mint replaced the Benjamin Franklin half-dollar design with Kennedy's profile. The coin quickly became a patriotic icon, widely admired and collected. But something significant happened in 1971 that makes that year's Kennedy half-dollar stand apart in a way that continues to fascinate collectors today. Before 1971, Kennedy half-dollars were struck in 40% silver. But starting in that year, the U.S. Mint ceased the use of silver for circulating half-dollars and switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, the same type used in dimes and quarters. The 1971 issue marked the first year these coins were no longer made with silver for general circulation, a turning point that gave rise to various unique characteristics. While the average 1971 Kennedy half-dollar is common, what's hidden beneath this coin's surface, what makes it potentially worth a fortune, is the existence of rare varieties, mint errors, and a few highly graded specimens that defy the ordinary. Imagine a 1971 Kennedy half-dollar with a striking mint error, perhaps a double die obverse, a dramatic off-center strike, or a planchet mistake where the coin was accidentally struck on leftover silver or foreign material. These aren't legends, they exist. And when found in pristine condition, these error coins become the stuff of dreams. Professional coin grading services have authenticated and encapsulated a very limited number of these rare variations, and once a coin reaches a grade of MS 68 or higher, essentially near perfect in every detail, it enters a different league entirely. But rarity alone doesn't tell the whole story. Part of what makes the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar so alluring is the fact that it's a coin most people would never suspect to be valuable. It was mass-produced, widely circulated, and often overlooked in the shuffle of everyday transactions. Yet, in the hands of a knowledgeable collector or a curious enthusiast with an eye for detail, this humble half-dollar can transform into a masterpiece worth showcasing in elite collections across the world. What's also fascinating is how the coin reflects a moment of broader transformation in American monetary policy. The early 1970s were turbulent years, economically and politically, and the removal of silver from coins was a direct response to rising metal prices and the need to curb the melting of silver coinage for bullion. Thus, the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar symbolizes not just a design evolution, but also a pivot point in U.S. Mint history where the priorities of coinage shifted from precious metal content to durability, efficiency, and practicality. Now, think about this. A simple Kennedy half-dollar dated 1971 that may have slipped through your hands or your grandparents' change jar could be one of these rare and remarkable pieces. It could be the exact variation that experts have deemed exceedingly scarce due to a production anomaly, one of the few survivors in flawless condition. And if you were to submit it for grading and it returned with a top-tier certification, it could easily become a centerpiece in the world of modern coin collecting. In a time when so many are rediscovering the joy of collecting and appreciating the past, Coins like the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar serve as a powerful reminder that history is not only found in textbooks or museums, it can be held, examined, and even spent, if you're not careful. But for the discerning few who recognize its value, this coin is a gateway to a deeper understanding of America's rich numismatic journey. And now, the moment of revelation. Among these 1971 Kennedy half-dollars, a particular specimen, graded to near perfection and showcasing a rare error during its minting process, has stunned the collecting community by achieving a market price of $155,000. Top 4. Every once in a while, a coin emerges from the past that reminds us just how much history can be tucked away in the palm of our hand. Today, we journey into the story behind one such piece, an unassuming yet potentially priceless coin that could be resting in a forgotten drawer, a change jar, or even quietly circulating without a second thought. We're talking about the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar, a coin minted during a decade of major economic change, cultural evolution, and technological growth in the United States. Though millions were produced, only a select few 1983 Kennedy half-dollars possess qualities that make them highly sought-after treasures, and today we unravel the mystery behind this remarkable piece of American currency. The Kennedy half-dollar, first introduced in 1964 following the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy, has remained one of the most iconic pieces of U.S. coinage. The design was a tribute to a leader whose presence inspired hope and progress, and its quick approval and release were fueled by national mourning and a desire to memorialize Kennedy's legacy. While the initial 1964 coins contained 90% silver, later years, including the 1983 issue, were composed of copper-nickel clad. By the early 1980s, silver had long been phased out from circulating half-dollars, making collectors shift their attention from precious metal content to other defining features, minting errors, limited production varieties, and condition rarity. The 1983 Kennedy half-dollar was struck at a time when the half-dollar was fading in popularity. It wasn't used widely in everyday transactions, meaning many were either set aside or never circulated much. This might make you assume that finding one in good condition would be easy, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The truth is, most coins from 1983 saw rough handling. Quality control at the U.S. Mint was not always consistent during this period, and few collectors were setting aside coins straight from the mint. As a result, finding a 1983 Kennedy half-dollar in near-perfect condition, especially one that has not been cleaned or damaged over the years, is extremely rare. But what truly elevates this coin into the realm of greatness is the presence of minting errors and extraordinary grades. Some of the most valuable 1983 Kennedy half-dollars are those struck with notable mistakes, double dies, off-center strikes, or coins minted on the wrong planchets. These are anomalies that transform an ordinary coin into a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. Even more stunning is when these rare variations are discovered in flawless condition, receiving high grades from professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC. The higher the grade, particularly MS67, MS68, or even above, the more scarce and valuable the coin becomes. And then there's the 1983 proof and mint set dynamic. That year, the U.S. Mint produced official mint sets but did not produce proof sets due to budget constraints and shifting priorities. This lack of proof coins meant fewer high-quality examples were available to the public, further amplifying the scarcity of premium-grade 1983 half-dollars. Collectors began to realize that certain coins from mint sets were exceptionally well struck and had fewer contact marks than their circulation counterparts. These coins, untouched by the chaos of pocket change, became targets for those who knew what to look for. Over the years, a few sharp-eyed collectors have unearthed these hidden gems, 1983 Kennedy half-dollars that look like they were frozen in time, with every line of John F. Kennedy's profile perfectly preserved, every detail crisp, every surface gleaming. And when such a coin also carries an error or striking anomaly, it becomes a lightning rod for serious attention in the coin collecting world. It's stories like these that inspire people to dig back into their collections, to double-check old change, and to re-examine the coins they'd dismissed as ordinary. Because once in a blue moon, an everyday coin turns out to be a masterpiece in disguise. And if you're fortunate enough to discover a 1983 Kennedy half-dollar in pristine condition with an error or exceptional strike, it could be worth far more than its face value, more than anyone would expect from a coin that many never give a second glance. So, if you have a box of old coins lying around or a mint set from the early 80s tucked away in storage, now is the time to take a closer look. Examine your Kennedy half-dollars carefully. You might just be sitting on a numismatic jackpot without even realizing it, because one remarkable 1983 Kennedy half-dollar, preserved in immaculate condition and blessed with unique minting characteristics, has fetched a stunning price of $122,000. Top 5. Have you ever stopped to think that a coin you've casually passed around in change could actually be a small treasure trove of history, and possibly worth a life-changing sum of money? Well, today we're about to take a deep dive into one such coin, a shining symbol of American history that could be sitting quietly in your collection right now, the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar. At first glance, it might look like any other coin minted in the 70s, bearing the dignified profile of one of America's most beloved presidents. But beneath that familiar face lies a fascinating backstory, a world of minting intricacies, and the thrilling potential of extraordinary value that few could ever predict. This isn't just about pocket change, this is about a hidden gem that could take your breath away. The Kennedy half-dollar was introduced in 1964, not long after the nation was rocked by the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. As a tribute to his memory and legacy, Congress moved quickly to approve the new design, replacing the Franklin half-dollar. The coin became an instant icon, and its emotional significance meant that many Americans saved them rather than spending them. Over the years, the coin's composition changed. The initial silver content was reduced after 1964, and by 1971, the Kennedy half-dollar was made of a copper-nickel-clad composition. The 1972 version followed this modern trend, with no silver content for circulating issues, making it seem at first like just another regular coin. But what separates a common 1972 half-dollar from an incredibly valuable one lies in the details, small, almost imperceptible flaws or anomalies that can change everything. What truly makes certain 1972 Kennedy half-dollars so valuable are specific minting errors, limited production varieties, and near-perfect conditions. These aren't mistakes that the average person can easily spot. We're talking about rare double-die verse, off-center strikes, or coins struck on planchets meant for other denominations, errors so rare that only the most careful eyes can identify them. And then there's the condition. Coins that were never circulated, that remain sealed in U.S. mint sets or preserved by collectors who somehow knew they were holding on to something special. Those coins retain stunning detail, sharp relief, and mirror-like surfaces. Graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, the highest-tier examples of these coins can command jaw-dropping figures. Adding to the intrigue of the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar is the fact that it came during a transitional time for the U.S. Mint. Technology was improving, but inconsistencies in minting were still very much present. Coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which bear no mint mark, were often plagued with soft strikes and weak details. So when a 1972 Kennedy half-dollar appears with razor-sharp features, brilliant luster, and no post-mint damage, collectors take notice. These top-grade specimens are extremely difficult to find because most coins from that year entered circulation and were subjected to the daily grind, literally, of pockets, cash drawers, and vending machines. Over time, the majority lost their original finish, developed scratches, and simply faded into the background of everyday currency. But not all were lost to time. Some remained untouched, hidden away in coin rolls, forgotten in dresser drawers, or locked in storage boxes that were passed down through generations. And within that small fraction of preserved coins, some were discovered to have anomalies, minting errors that drastically increased their rarity and value. That's where the true excitement begins. Coin collectors and investors are willing to pay hefty sums for these elusive examples. The thrill of uncovering such a coin is like finding buried treasure in plain sight. So what should you look for? Examine your 1972 Kennedy half-dollar for details like doubling in the text on the obverse, a misaligned or off-center strike, or unusually strong detail in the hair and lettering. If you suspect something rare, don't hesitate to consult a professional grading service. It could be worth your time. Literally. In the world of numismatics, the value of a coin isn't just about what it's made of. It's about history, condition, rarity, and the story it tells. The 1972 Kennedy half-dollar is more than a coin. It's a connection to a transformative era in American life and a symbol of a nation's respect for a fallen leader. And if you happen to hold the right version, with just the right error or in an astonishing state of preservation, that simple half-dollar could be worth an absolutely remarkable $145,000.